Am I audible to everyone?
Yes,
Okay, great. Hi everyone, how are you guys?
all good. How are you?
I'm good. How is everyone else? Okay, I'll take that as everybody is good.
Yeah, I'm good too. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good, I'm good.
I was a little busy, so
Rahulji, your voice just like went away in between for me.
can you hear me?
Yeah, now I can.
I said, how are you?
I'm good, I'm good.
So you stay nearby at school or some?
No,
Because
no,
your connection seems to be a little better than others.
uh, I'm actually on a partial leave. I had to come back home, so that's
Oh,
why.
okay, okay, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, I heard that there were a lot of issues. There is some issue also going on in that area, actually, generally. So everyone around there is not like the electricity is gone for the entire day. Like yesterday, that happened. So
My
I
God,
think, sorry,
I said, my God.
yeah, yeah. So overall, in that entire region, like the electricity uh, was cut off. So that's why all of them are facing issues with like conducting the classes. So yeah, let's see how everything is like managed. But this is actually like for the entire village that happened, like the area of the school. So yeah, okay. So let's begin today's class. So back and neck straight and gently close your eyes. Start observing your breath. And disconnect from all the thoughts and start connecting with yourself and your breath. And slowly begin to deepen your breath. And once you inhale, just hold the breath for 2 seconds and then exhale. Take a few more breaths in the same pattern. Inhaling, retaining, and exhaling. Mentally prepare yourselves for chanting Om 3 times, followed by 3 Shantis. After your next exhalation, inhale deeply for Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Join both your palms together in front of your chest and rub both the palms together. Place them over your eyes and very slowly, while blinking and looking at your palms, open up your eyes, come back with a big smile. And namaste to everyone. Let's begin today's session. So, any doubts so far before I start the class? New topic today.
So far is clear. And I saw your message, so I'm going to try that poster today.
Yeah, in pranayam class you can try that one, and
Yes,
then
yes.
in your practice, like when we are going into like doing our breath work, like at that point of
Mhm.
time only you can practice that
Yes,
and
sure.
then start with the breathing. So let's see. All of you can try today, in fact, and see what is the difference. Okay. So, okay. So today our topic of discussion is um, Bhagavad Gita. So everyone must have heard of this text, like the name, and most of us are generally familiar with this text because it got very famous also, and it's considered to be like a very holistic um, text and a really good manual on how to navigate through life. Like um, Upanishads have stories, and even they are very relevant to us. Like when we read them, we understand a lot of things. But Bhagavad Gita is considered to be the uh, essence of all Upanishads is seen in Bhagavad Gita, जो हम हिंदी में सार बोल देते हैं. सारे उपनिषदों का जो सार है वो ऐसा कहा जाता है कि भगवत गीता पढ़ने सिर्फ भगवत गीता अगर आप पढ़ लेंगे तो आपको सारे उपनिषदों का सार मिल जाएगा. ठीक है, सो यू विल गेट द सेंस ऑफ ऑल उपनिषद एंड it's a very good book to understand how to navigate through situations in your life and to also manage things in your life. So I would highly recommend all of you guys to, apart from any other book, like because there are so many books that I have already told you about in the philosophy classes. So I would say like uh, if you even if you're not able to read those books, that's okay. But Bhagavad Gita is a book that you should read, like at least once in a lifetime. I think it's a must read book. Yeah, and like it talks of a lot of things which will make you think. And for I have personally heard of some cases where they do not understand the text as such, but they chant the text daily, like, and they have seen that their lives have changed drastically just by chanting. So when we like read something, we want to understand it depth. But I've seen people who don't understand it but just believe in chanting the shlokas of Bhagavad Gita, and have still seen so much change in their lives. Yeah. So it's a definite like recommendation, like you must read Bhagavad Gita. Even if you're just reading the translations, don't buy a very thick book. You will get a lot of commentaries on Bhagavad Gita. But just even if you go for the literal translation, like from Sanskrit to Hindi or English, whichever you're comfortable with, you will see that, yeah, I mean, the book is really helpful. So, I have also been calling it Bhagavad Gita till now, but actually, the full name of this text is Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishad. Okay, so I'll just write this down in the chat box also. Okay, I'll just spell this out. Srimad is SRIMAD, Bhagavad BHAGAVAD, Gita GITA, and Upanishad is UPANISHAD. So we sometimes just hear Gita. If you go a little more in depth, we hear Bhagavad Gita, and little more in depth, we might have even heard of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. But the entire name of the text is Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishad, which directly translates to a song sung by Supreme Reality about Supreme Reality. So let me just write this down. So, a song sung by Supreme Reality about Supreme Reality. Okay. So, over here, Bhagavad Gita. So, there is like Geet, like in Hindi also. So, it's like a song which is sung by the Supreme Reality, by Krishna ji. So, I'll go into details about the text. So, by Krishna ji, this was sung to Arjun ji during the war, and this particular portion of Mahabharat was categorized as Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishad. Okay, so let me come to the story of what was going on, because Bhagavad Gita is a part of Mahabharat. So you guys can write this down. Mm, it's in the Bhishma Parv. So Mahabharata is divided into various parvs. Okay. So chapters over there are called parvs. Like in Patanjali Yuga Sutra, we saw that chapters were called Pada. Yeah. So over here they were called parvs. So in the Bhishma Parv,
It is Parv or Parsh?
I'm also writing it down on the chart box. You must have parv. So I'll just spell it out also. BHISHMA. Bhishma Parv. PARVA. Bhishma Parv of Mahabharat. And it is from the 25th chapter to the 42nd. Okay, so from 25 till 42, we have 18 chapters. So this text has 18 chapters in total. Like Parv is like, I can say, bigger bigger categorization, and then there are sub chapters. So from the 25th to the 42nd sub chapter, this part was separately known as Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishad. Okay, so we have 18 chapters and 700 shlokas in total. In the text. The author of this text is considered to be Ved Vyas. Okay, but it was properly compiled by Shankaracharya ji. So I'll just spell Ved Vyas. V E D V Y A S A, and compiled by Shankaracharya. So SHAMKARACHARYA, and it was written at Vyas Kund. So I'm just giving you some basic facts like about the text. So V Y A S A K U N D. This is the place, and the time of this text is 500 BC. Okay, so these are some basic facts. So the text is a conversation between Krishna ji and Arjun ji. So it's in conversation. The style of the text is conversation. Between Bhagwan Krishna and Arjun. So Bhagwan Krishna, I'll just spell that out. BHAGWANKRishna, and Arjun is spelled as ARJUNA. Okay. So let's see what was happening when, like, how did everybody come to this situation, and Bhagavad Gita started. So what happened was there were two kings, Pandu and Dhritarashtra. Okay, so Pandu had 5 children. Okay, and Dhritarashtra had 101 children, out of which 100 were sons. He had one daughter. Okay, so what happened was that Pandu died at a very early age. So when the uh, uh, 5 sons of Pandav were very young, he died. So generally speaking, the sons of Pandu were known as Pandavas, and Dhritarashtra's sons were known as Kauravas. Okay, so 100 Kauravas, his sons, and we have 5 Pandavas. So when he died, Dhritarashtra, what he did was he, like, took in the Pandus. So the Pandu's sons, sorry. So Pandavas grew up with the Kauravas. Okay, they had the same guru, Dronacharya. His name was Dronacharya, and I'm sure that if you have heard of the text, then you must have heard of his name also. So he trained all of them. Okay, so as they grew up, the Kauravas were very jealous of the Pandavas, because the Pandavas were very, like, capable, and they were like much more intelligent than the Kauravas. And the I can say the leader of the Kauravas was Duryodhan. Okay, so Duryodhan was very jealous, and because I think he was going to rule next, so what he did was, like, in order to, like, get rid of the Pandavas, what he did was he invited, I don't remember whom he invited. Mm, yeah, I forgot. He invited one of the Pandavas for a game of dice. I'll tell you the name when I remember his name. So he invited, yeah, you can
Yudhishthir.
Yudhishthir.
Yudhishthir, yeah, Yudhishthir. He invited Yudhishthir for a game of dice, and he cheated him somehow, and he won. Okay, so I'm just telling you the overall story. When you go in depth, there are, like, separate stories of all of these also, like what happened, proper story is there. So you guys can go in detail and read about that. So when this happened, then Duryodhan, what he did was he said that, okay, I'm going to place, like, I'm going to give you, you have to go in exile. All the Pandavas have to go in exile for 13 years, out of which 12 years you will be in normal exile. Okay, you live in the jungle. And for that one last year, you have to live in the jungle in such a way that nobody discovers you. Okay, so the last 1 year was very challenging for them. So, but they agreed, they had no choice, so they agreed. So they went away in into exile for those 13 years. And after the 12th year, like, Kauravas made a lot of, like, attempts, so in order to find the Pandavas, so that they couldn't complete their exile properly, because if anybody saw them, then their whole, like, exile would have gone in vain. So they made a lot of attempts to try to, like, make sure that the Pandavas are not able to complete their exile. But somehow they managed to do that. Okay. And after the 13 years, they came back to Duryodhan, and they were just like, now give us our share of the kingdom. We just want to live, and we have completed everything that you had, like, asked us to do. So now just give us back the share of our kingdom, and we will rule over there. So that is when Duryodhan said no. He said that I will not even give you, like, नीडल की जो टिप होती है, उतना उतना रीजन भी नहीं दूंगा मैं अपने
सुई
राज्य
की
का।
नोक के बराबर।
हाँ, कोई की नोक के बराबर भी नहीं दूंगा। तो this comes very easily to in Hindi, but in English, like I have to think when I'm narrating the story.
You can
So
talk to us in Hindi right now. I think we all are Indian, so we understand Hindi.
yeah, but this session is recorded and then foreigners like
Understood. Okay, okay. Yeah, yeah. You can continue.
code of language is English only.
Yeah, yeah.
तो उन्होंने मना कर दिया, थोड़ा थोड़ा मैं हिंदी में भी बोलूंगी, ठीक है। तो क्या हुआ कि फिर कोई ऑप्शन नहीं था, दे हैड नो ऑप्शन, तो देयर वाज ओनली दिस ऑप्शन कि अब तो वॉर होगी। सो बिफोर दैट दे लाइक कंसल्टेड, they went to Krishna ji also, they consulted. So when they went to Krishna ji, तो ये डिसाइड हो रहा था, मतलब हो चुका था जब वो कृष्ण जी के पास गए। बीच में लाइक इन बिटवीन दे ट्राइड अ लॉट कि बिना उसके सेटल हो जाए, लाइक without the war, but Duryodhan had a lot of ego. So he said that no, I'm not going to give my kingdom. So what happened was finally when it was decided कि okay, now there is going to be a war. So both Arjun and Duryodhan went to Krishna ji, okay, in Dwarka, and when they entered over there, so what they saw was that Krishna ji was sitting over there in his kingdom, and very naturally Arjun was a very big devotee of Krishna ji. So for him it came very naturally that he went and he sat down near his feet, okay. And what Duryodhan did was, because he had a very big ego, what Duryodhan did was he sat over there only, like to the king sits in a particular place and there was a sofa by the side, so he sat on that only, that okay, I'm also king, so that is my position, वो मेरी position है, मैं बैठ सकता हूँ। तो क्या हुआ कि सबसे पहले when Krishna ji opened up his eyes, he was meditating. So when Krishna ji opened up his eyes, he saw Arjun first, and then he saw Duryodhan. So he was just like, okay, now war is going to take place. So because he saw Arjun first, he gave Arjun the choice. Okay, he gave him two choices. One was that he will be on Arjun's side, but he will not pick up any weapons during the war. Okay. So one thing he said कि मैं तुम्हारी side हो जाता हूँ, but मैं कुछ करूँगा नहीं, ठीक है? I will be the person who will ride your chariot. Okay. On the second side, he offered his own army, which was one of the most powerful armies at that point of time. तो ये वजह से या तो तुम मेरी आर्मी ले लो या तुम मुझे ले लो, पर मैं वेपन्स नहीं उठाऊंगा, ठीक है। तो अर्जुन was a very big devotee. So what he did was he chose that Krishna ji should be on his side, and Duryodhan was very happy because any which way, if he would have been given the first choice, he would have chosen the army. Okay. So Krishna ji asked out of curiosity, ki, why did you choose me? So Arjun said that I'm a very big devotee and like I know who you are. So आप एक स्ट्रॉन्ग आर्मी को भी ऐसे ही डिफीट कर दोगे, क्योंकि क्या है, आपकी पावर कोई रिकॉग्नाइज नहीं कर रहा, मतलब आपके पास इतनी पावर है, तो व्हाट विल आई डू ऑफ द आर्मी, यू आर सच अ पावरफुल बीइंग, I want you on my side. So this was settled, okay, that this is going to happen in this way. So then what happened was that on the other side, like while all of this was going on, um, after they went back home, Krishna ji himself thought that okay, Mahabharata is going to be like, it's going to be a huge war. This thing is going to be a huge war and multiple people are going to be killed. So what he did was he himself traveled to Hastinapur where Duryodhan was, and he gave a final request that छोड़ दो, war मत करो, okay, don't go for this war, give them like give them some part of your land, okay. So there is a very famous poem on this particular portion when Krishna ji goes to Hastinapur and requests Duryodhan to not go for the war. So it's called Krishna ki Chetabni. Okay, if you search this on YouTube, you will find multiple audios, like videos, audios also. So do listen to that. Like, it's very beautifully written. Krishna ki Chetavni. Okay, so when Krishna ji went with that request, not only did Duryodhan deny him that, he also, what he did was he tried to capture Krishna himself. So then Krishna ji came into his like proper, uh, I can say proper, अपने
विश्वरूप
रूप में
दर्शन
अपने रूप में आए थे तब वो
Avatar.
भगवान की तरह. हाँ, तो तब उन्होंने बोला कि दुर्योधन तू मुझे बांधने चला है. तो and then he explained that he's the um I can say reason behind the existence of everything that Duryodhan sees. Okay, so he's time himself. So uh, after that, like what happens is like when he like shows his actual roop in front of Duryodhan, वो वाला पूरा इंसिडेंट फिनिश हो जाता है एंड लाइक ही लीव्स एंड ही श्योर कि अब तो वॉर होगी होगी. ओके, so what happens like during the war is, so in Indian culture, everything had rules. So even war had certain rules, and one of them was that each side would get some time to strategize. When they see the army, they will get some time to strategize how they're going to attack. And it's like a very all the Indian army, like these old rules were very respectful also. They were fair, respectful. So when we come to the final day of the war, and Krishna Arjun ji is like sitting behind, and Krishna ji is on the chariot. Yeah, he's going to ride the chariot. So Arjun ji directs him कि मुझे आगे लेके जाओ. Okay, take me ahead where I can look at the other army and see कि कौन है वहां पर. Okay, who all are there and what is the war going to be like. Let me strategize. So when Krishna ji takes him over there to strategize, he sees that so many of his family members were standing on the other side. Okay, and not only does he see that, he sees that his guru Dronacharya was standing over there. Now, family is family, but in earlier times, guru and student relationship was very deep and it cannot be explained. Okay, it was that like good and deep. So, फैमिली मेंबर्स को देख के तो उनको डिलेमा आया ही, बट गुरु को देख के उनका डिलेमा और ज्यादा बढ़ गया कि मैं अब अपने गुरु को भी मारूंगा. द पर्सन हु टॉट मी, आई हैव टू किल दैट पर्सन. तो एकदम से वो ऐसे हो गए, कंफ्यूजन में आ गए. ही केम इन कंफ्यूजन दैट नो, आई डोंट वांट टू फाइट दिस वॉर. मैं बैकआउट कर रहा हूँ बिकॉज, एंड व्हेन भगवत गीता स्टार्ट्स आल्सो, लाइक he in the text itself he is just like, what use is the pleasure of winning my kingdom back and leading a good life if I do not have loved ones to share it with. Okay, so at that point of time Krishna had to explain to him कि नहीं, you are a warrior and this is your duty and responsibility that as a warrior you cannot leave your weapons behind and run away from war. Now it is your duty to fight. Okay, so it's a very tough condition if we ourselves think of somebody standing on the opposite side, like, and for war where there is no guarantee that people will survive. So right now we are very afraid of even going against our family for certain decisions we have to make. But over here the situation was very critical. Okay, so he had to kill his own people. So he got in a very deep dilemma. तो कॉन्वर्सेशन शुरू होती है दोनों के बीच में. So he is continuously giving Krishna ji reasons why he shouldn't fight, and Krishna ji is trying to explain to him why he should fight. Okay, and when this portion comes in, that portion has been categorized as Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishad. Okay, so in all the 18 chapters there are 18 types of yogas that have been discussed. Okay, different forms of yoga. So it's sometimes it seems very funny that every time like Krishna ji gave him a proper reason, he had some loophole to like tell Krishna ji that no, I'm not going to go and fight for the war. But at the end of the 18th chapter, he understands, he surrenders to Krishna ji and considers him to be his guru and goes in for war. So Arjun was not that student who could listen to Krishna ji just because he was an avatar of God. He questioned him a lot. He took out a lot of loopholes in the entire text, and he was just like, okay, explain this to me. If he didn't understand something, he asked Krishna ji over and over again to try to explain it to him. So वो समझाते समझाते कि तुम्हें यही करना है, उन्होंने अलग अलग फॉर्म्स ऑफ योगा दी. He gave a lot of forms of yoga कि अच्छा चलो, if you're not able to understand that this is your duty, तो भक्ति में कर लो, ठीक है, devote yourself to me and then perform this action. अच्छा इस चीज से समझ नहीं आ रहा तो लॉजिकली समझ लो, इस चीज में आ जाओ. ओके, उससे नहीं समझ आ तो कॉन्स्टेंटली ही वाज इन दैट लूप वेयर ही वांटेड टू एक्सप्लेन कि नहीं, you need to understand this is your duty. Okay, so this is where the this entire text comes in. So in the background, what is going on is that Dhritarashtra is like blind by birth. Okay, so what happens is that he cannot see, like, and he wanted to know कि चल क्या रहा है. Okay, so Ved Vyas ji himself went to him and he was just like, I'll give you divine vision so that I can see what is going on in the war and everything. So he refuses. He just say, I cannot see my sons die. So what Vedyas ji does is he gives that vision to his very close, I can say, consultant, yeah, his minister Sanjay. Okay, so Sanjay, he said that Sanjay will know everything that is happening at any point of time during the war, and he will intuitively perceive that, and he will be able to tell you everything that is going on. So you don't see directly, but I will keep someone around you who knows what is going on. Okay, so when you read Srimad Bhagavad Gita, the 700 shloks have been divided into four uh, like it's the entire like shlokas have been spoken by four people in total, so it's a conversation within a conversation. Okay, so Dhritarashtra and Sanjay are having a conversation about Krishna ji and Arjun ji, and Sanjay is narrating what he was telling Arjun at that point of time. So I'll write down the name of everyone and the number of shlokas that have been attributed to everyone in the text. Okay, so Dhritarashtra has one shlok in the entire text. So I'll just tell his name out. D H R I T R A S H T R A. He has one shlok. Then we have Sanjay, S A N J A Y. He has 41 shlokas in the text. Then we have, this is one conversation. Dhritarashtra and Sanjay are like one conversation that is going on. Second conversation is Krishna and Arjun. So K R I S H N A. Okay. So 574 shlokas have been spoken by him. And Arjuna, he has 84 shlokas. So A R J U N A. Okay. So total 4 characters. So as per Bhagavad Gita, the ideal person is called Sthit Pragya. Okay. I'm just writing that down so you guys can note it. S T H I T A P R A J N A. Okay. So he talks of Sthit Pragya in the second chapter. He has given the qualities of a person who is ideal, basically. And why is it relevant for us in our day-to-day life? So Krishnaji is considered to be the higher mind. So when your higher mind is speaking, that portion is like you can relate it to Krishnaji. He is speaking that okay, sometimes our mind confuses us, but we have a higher understanding that this is right, this is wrong, or this is what should be done in that situation. So that character has been represented by Krishnaji, and the lower mind has been represented by Arjun. Okay, so when both of them are talking, it's like your uh, lower mind and higher mind are having a conversation. So it's very easy for us to understand, okay, this is going on, this is not going on, you know.
Conscious and subconscious mind, is it?
Yeah, you can say conscious and subconscious mind, senses and intellect. Okay, so our senses want to run away, they want to be attached to the sense object, but the intellect understands that okay, there is something more than this, or this is not what you are looking for. So this is the general understanding that you gain out of the text when you read it, and it gives you such clear and precise instructions on how to understand yourself and manage yourself in a particular situation. So in current circumstances, it is like absolutely essential for us to read Srimad Bhagavad Gita Upanishad, because we don't know how to conduct ourselves, we don't know how to conduct the action we do during the day. So he explains everything in this.
Yes, it teaches how one is supposed to lead his or her life
Yes,
peacefully.
exactly. Like there is a talk of Trigunas also. We will also cover that topic. So Trigunas have been discussed in Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So Karma Yoga and like all of those things are discussed, but concept of Triguna is also discussed. So in that he tells that okay, these are the three qualities that we have, and in each quality, this is how we function. So when we gain an understanding of okay, this is the one that is dominating us right now, so we are able to shift towards the ideal one. We are able to develop the awareness. Also, what kind of food you should eat, like that has also been talked of in Bhagavad Gita. So so many things that are there, like how we need to navigate through life, how we need to lead our life, has been given in this book. So must read for all of you. So there is there you'll find a lot of commentaries on this, but I would suggest, personally recommend that you go for the publication Gita Press Gorakhpur. Okay, so I'll just write this down in the chat box also. So their translations are very like to the point, and you will find a very thin book which just has the translations. It's a yellow colored book, okay, and it has English Hindi translation of the shlokas, and they even have a very thick book which is like very big, and that has like the proper explanation for what is being said in the text. So I wouldn't recommend that you go for that thick one, because it's a very big book and very thick, so it will take a lot of time for you to read that, and it's very easy to lose motivation. So when you're reading this text for the first time, go for just the literal translations that you find, okay, so that you're at least able to complete the text. Once you do this, you will find the uh, I would say you will find the app thing for you, like, because there are 18 forms that are given. There is one form that will really like make you question everything, one or two or three, but uh, you will connect with certain things that are written in the text. So once you read the entire text, you will know what is where. Then you can choose to go in depth about the thing that catches your attention the most. So then you can go for the longer commentary when you decide which one is good for you. Okay. So yeah. So four characters. Yeah, all of this I have covered. Okay. So generally, as per Bhagavad Gita also, the main thing is that there is a discord between your uh, senses and your intuition. Okay. So there is generally a fight that is going on. And what it leads you to is a place where you can find the balance, the equanimity, and the peace in mind, so that you are able to eradicate all your sufferings. And also, the main reason of all suffering, as per this text, is our selfish desire. Okay, so that is what leads to a lot of suffering in the mind. And there are four major schools which have been discussed in this. So, Karma Yoga, and we have Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Dhyana Yoga. Okay, so Karma is Karma Yoga, Karma Yoga. Then we have Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti. Bhakti. Then we have Gyan, Jnana. Then last one we have is Dhyan, Dhyana. Dhyan. Okay, so these are the four major schools that have been discussed. And we will also talk on the schools of yoga in our future classes. So we will discuss how what is written in Bhagavad Gita related to all the schools. Okay. So any doubts in this or anything you guys want to add? Okay, great. So today, yes, Anusha ji. Okay, I can't hear you.
Hello.
Yeah, now I can.
Yeah. So I was just a point I was just wanted to share that when you start reading the Bhagavad Gita, the very first line there is it says that nobody can teach you Gita. Like there are so many people who preach Gita and all that. So the very interesting thing about is that the very first opening dialogue when you open the book is this, that nobody can teach you Gita.
Hmm.
You have to go through it according to your understanding only, according to the situations that are happening in your life. It's a very interesting text, actually.
Hmm. It's a very I would say that is why even in like a lot of corporate places this is being talked of, because
Yes, yes,
the management skills.
yes.
Yeah, and the best thing about it is that you can apply it to your life. You can understand it according to your situations. When you go into other texts, they are given with a different state of mind. Yeah, but Bhagavad Gita has this quality that you can like read it according to your own understanding and apply it as per your own understanding in your life.
And every time when we read it, now, like if you read it today and then you read it after 10 days, you'll find different meaning every time you're trying to read it.
Exactly, that also happens. Like I still remember when there is this movie called Inception. When that came in, like I took like 3 times to understand what the movie was about. And even till date, when I watch it, like I discover something new. So Bhagavad Gita is also something like that. Every time, like it's an evergreen text. Every time you read it, there is like something new, and and then you are just like, when you find that something new, you're just like, how did I miss out on that detail before? Like it was right here in front of me. That also happens. So yeah, at least buy one copy, keep it with you, and whenever you're facing a very tough time in your life, trust me, this is the book you need to go to. Like you don't have to go to anybody. Just pick up this book and start reading from anywhere. Like
When I started reading it initially, so I have this text in Hindi also, then I have it in English also, and then I have it translated by Swami Vivekananda also, because it took me so much time and so much effort to understand every single thing that they're trying to say in that shlok.
hmm, yeah, that also happens. But overall very interesting. Like
Yeah,
yeah,
I can
I-
recommend one book called Fakir.
Fakir, what is it about? Like this only?
It's yeah, it's about the book itself talk to you. When you start reading that book, you feel that book, whichever means problems you are facing, that book is uh, telling you about those problems and the solutions. The Fakir. They have 2 or 3 books, but go for first one.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Who is the author?
Mm, author. Actually, I had this book.
Mm-hmm.
It's in my briefcase, actually. I read and wait, I'll tell you.
Rusbane and Barucha.
Yes, yes, yes. And the main thing is that it's a book. If somebody will give you that book, then you feel that understanding of that book. If you buy and you start reading that, maybe you misplaced that book or something. Because I misplaced 2 books, and then one of my cousin gift me, and then I completed that book. So you can
Got
ask someone.
Mm.
And it's happened, it's not happened with me, it's happened with many people. If they bought that book, either some way they lost that book, or maybe some of the reason they are not completing that book.
Okay. This is like wow. Okay.
I have
But
read lots
this
of books on spirituality, but so far, I think Bhagavad Gita is one
yeah,
of the
means
best that
it's
I
one
have
of the
come across.
yeah, one of the granth, you can say.
Yes, I mean,
It's a
I
sar
think
for
we should
everything.
all just read it once. It's actually mesmerizing.
Yeah, it's sar for everything. And
Yeah,
there is one more book about the this one is the power of subconscious mind.
Subconscious Mind,
Unconscious, yeah.
Joseph Murphy.
Yes, 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 yes. That
The
book
sub-
is wow.
The power of, sorry,
The
one
Power
second.
of Your Subconscious Mind by
Subconscious
Joseph
mind.
Murphy.
Like whichever thing you really desire in your life,
Mhm.
if you think means जो पूजा भी होती है वो पूजा भी हम लोग जो है वो तभी फल करती है जब हमारा सबकॉन्शियस माइंड जो है उस चीज को आगे की तरफ लेके जाता है. Hence, it's little example actually from that book only. So one girl was passing by in shopping complex. She saw one bag, and she felt that means when you see something and you, oh, this is mine, kind of thing. So she felt, and she went inside. She asked the price, and the price was little higher side. So she didn't buy that because it was over budget for her. She came back, and she saw that purse on her desk, and she was like shocked, how come this purse is here? So that day that girl, I think birthday and then boyfriend gifted that purse to her. So it was connected कि आप जो भी अपने सबकॉन्शियस माइंड से अगर चाहते हो तो वो चीज पूरी हो जाती है. तभी तो बोलते हैं नेगेटिव एनर्जीज एंड पॉजिटिव एनर्जीज. इफ यू थिंक अबाउट नेगेटिव, so much negativity around you, then something definitely is going to around you that called negative energy. And the positive energy, if you are in very tough situation, if you balance your mental status, पॉजिटिव थिंकिंग, लाइक जो गीता में बताया जाता है कि आपकी थिंकिंग ही सब कुछ जो है रचयिता है, तो वो साइड जो है वो हम लोगों को उस बुक में देखने को मिलती है.
Yeah, the basic concept is this only, that everything is inside you.
Yes, yes. Same like you seen this movie called Lucy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So my concept about Bhagwan is like, if your mind is 100% open, you are everywhere.
Okay.
और हम लोग तो 10 और 15% पर ही रह के मर जाएंगे.
We don't even reach 10-15%.
Yes, we don't even reach to 10 to 15%.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll end the class because the next class is going to take place with the
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll end the class with just one Om Shanti. Om Shanti to all of you. I will see you all in the evening for your pranayam class.
Have a
Thank you.
good day.
Okay, you too. Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.